him to do that.
It might be.
Have you started?
Yes. All right, good afternoon. We're going to call this meeting of the Downtown Development Authority to order. I'm going to do roll call real quick. Can you take meeting minutes for me? Thank you so much. Doug?
Here.
Catherine?
Here.
Lane?
Here.
Ashley is absent, is excused. Darren is absent, is unexcused. Angie?
Here.
And then just notify everyone, Miss Jan Knight has decided to end her tenure on the Downtown Development Authority, so we have an open position. Council has been notified that we have an open position, so if you know of anyone that would be interested in applying for the board, please let us know. Excuse me, I apologize. We'll go ahead call to approve the minutes for November 12th. Do I have any discussion of this item? Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Sorry.
You good? All right, I'm going to move to item D, adoption of today's agenda. Does anyone see anything that we need to make changes to?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, so we'll move to item E, the first application for facade grant funding. This is for a building located at 103 West Gordon Street. This property is owned by McElroy Realty. The hair studio, owned by Miss Natasha Cromer, is in this building. She is in the process of making some facade improvements to her building, and is applying for a facade grant totaling $3,336.31. I have a budget that has been provided by the contractor in the show for the changes that will be made. It is totaling $6,672 and includes demo and patching the awning, pressure washer and painting the building, new signage, a custom facade build out, landscaping, and some miscellaneous items. This facade improvement has been approved by the Historical Preservation Commission. It was approved on January 4th. I have a couple images in the back of what this property would look like once the facade improvements have been made. John Baxter, our building official, has toured the property and notated any code enforcement violations and has notified McElroy Realty about those to have them taken care of before these funds are distributed.
And this is the building right next to West Central?
Yes, building between West Central and Jen's.
Are they doing any work in the back?
They are not.
Okay. I just saw that her application said the back of the building looked needed like it.
So I'm thinking, I have a plan from like 2007, 2008 upstairs of some facade improvements on the back of the buildings. Just went in there and they were going to paint the backs of the buildings and just spruce it up and try to clean it up. And I think that may be something we could potentially revisit this year with some property owners and maybe working with Sherwin-Williams or Thompson Hardware to maybe do some donations, fundraising, and do some easement work to fix the backs of those buildings. I know we've discussed working on the Dda parking lot, and I think that kind of ties into that back alley and trying to clean it up and make it a functional space.
And so when you talk about easement, you mean hopefully to try to make it consistent with the image that we want to present so that everybody's not doing their own thing, but we kind of take easements across the back and then we come up with a grand idea that will say, this will tie everything in together.
Alongside our master plan, exactly.
Okay.
And the master plan that shows that area back there, are colors already suggested?
They are not.
Okay, so we need to work on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do I have any discussion about Miss Natasha's application for facade grant funding?
I love the mock-up.
I think it'll be a great improvement, obviously. Any improvements being made in downtown Thomaston right now are great improvements on what is there. And I'm excited for Natasha and the growth of her business. She's been there
She's been there
9 years.
Really? That
She's
long?
been there 9 years, so
Years.
I think it's great investment in one of our downtown businesses.
And so, we got your recommendation, we got the recommendation of the Historical Society.
Yes, sir.
And is John Baxter, how old is he?
John is 31. He's a
Did
couple years
his-
older than me.
Did his daddy or granddaddy used to be the city manager here?
I have no idea.
You know, Marnie Baxter. You remember her? Her daddy was the city manager here, and I thought his name was John Baxter. So, just,
John does a really good job as code enforcement, and now he's kind of moved from just general over to where he's
Doing the building
building
inspection.
inspection.
Yeah, no, John's definitely a key piece to some of our improvement projects in downtown Thomaston and helping me keep our property owners accountable, do a better job of keeping them accountable. Recommendation is to approve the funding for 103 West Gordon Street, total of $3,336.31. Do I hear a motion to
I make a
approve?
motion.
All right, a motion by Ms. Coggins. Can I get a second?
that's it.
All right. All those in favor say aye. All right. Ms. Coggins, we go ahead and sign right there.
What's the total money we have in?
We'd set aside 15,000. Council had allocated 15,000. We use right at 2,400 of that for baby lanes. So we have about 12,500 left over.
Johnny, you recuse myself for the next.
Yes, I want to ask y'all to state that.
You don't have to state it on the record while you're doing it.
All right. The next item on the agenda is item F, facade grant application for 106 and 108 West Main Street. I'm gonna ask Ms. Coggins if she recuses herself from this vote, as the properties in question are owned by her and Ms. Deanne Avery of RM Properties and Restorations LLC. All right. So RM Properties and Restorations LLC is requesting a total of $5,000 in facade grant funding to do a full facade restoration on both storefronts at 106 and 108 West Main Street. If you look in your packet, the contractors have provided a budget for this project. All total is about $15,602.40 worth of work. It includes removing the metal cladding material on the building, doing some stucco patch, pressure washing and painting the building, new signage, custom facade build out, and landscaping and some miscellaneous items. This rendering is a part of this packet. It has been approved by the Historic Preservation Commission. These two properties are the old Mellow Crust Bakery property. They are located between the Chamber of Commerce and Day Realty.
I'm probably late to the party. I know they have on this. Have we decided what it's going to be inside?
I'm
Just-
not at liberty. I don't know.
Okay, just still. Yeah. Well, I love the fact that they own this one.
I do too.
And
I will say that they've been working on. They had to go in there and remove the tree from the back. Lane and Deanne have putting a lot of work personally into this building and making this a usable space, a functional space in downtown Thomaston. For the last 15, 20 years, that property has been sitting kind of empty and derelict in our downtown corridor. They removed the tree. I do know they are looking to build out some type of backyard type concept. Where entertainment and a venue could be in the back alley, back on the north side of the square. So I think this is going to be an awesome addition to our downtown, and I'm excited for the opportunity to really transform the north side of the square over the next 5-10 years.
And is this gonna be representative of what they're gonna do? in one-
Yes, sir. So that the rendering that's been provided, uses they just provided some concepts that they were looking for, but adding that molding, trying to give it more of a classic style.
Yeah, I love the example. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it,
All right, I have a motion to approve this application.
$5,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. All right,
And 5,000, by the way, is the max.
yes, 5,000 is the max. And with all total, I said the project is right at just over $15,000. So they will be covering about just over 10,000 of this project. All right.
It's gonna look great.
Okay, item G is our next item for discussion. Let me see if Ms. Coggins. Thank you, sir. We'll let Ms. Coggins come back in.
I rode by there and looked at this property
Mhm.
over the weekend.
Yeah.
And this property does in fact line.
It's within the DDA. It's within the DDA zone. I'll kind of discuss that. Okay. So the next item up for discussion is item G, facade grant application for 709 North Bethel A and B by Mr. Daniel Palmer. 709 North Bethel is going up towards Lake Thomaston. It is on the very outskirts of the DDA map. But yes, it does lie within the DDA zone. Mr. Palmer is looking to pressure wash and paint his metal building for 709A, and then on 709B, he's going to be replacing rotted fascia board and box in soffit on the block building and pressure wash, caulk, and paint the block building. Mr. Palmer is requesting $2,500 for his facade grant. His application has been fully completed. A budget summary has been attached, as well as he has received approval from Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Palmer provided a quote for Mondres Flemister to paint, pressure wash, do the fascia and soffit installation, basically do all of his work. All total, it was $5,000. So he would be requesting half of this project to get started. I have included images of Mr. Palmer's buildings. He tried to provide a mock-up of what the buildings would look like once they were painted, and it wasn't the best. So I tried to just kind of give something of what it would look like. He's essentially just wanted to repaint the buildings and make them look better.
Is the parking lot gonna be pressure washed in the?
I think that parking lot would probably needs to be completely
Yeah.
remilled and repaved.
But he doesn't have a plan.
He does not.
In place yet.
That costs a lot more than $5,000.
It will. It will.
Well, they definitely need it. I did ride by and look, and it would definitely improve.
It would improve. It would definitely improve the buildings. The question we have to ask ourselves with this property, because it is so far on the outskirts of the DDA, is how do we want to prioritize funding for our DDA facade grant program? You know, most of our applications so far have come from within the courthouse core downtown area, so this hasn't been a thought. But due to the distance this building is from that core, as well as the amount of buildings that we have in downtown Thomaston that are in need of facade grant improvements, the question we have to ask us is, as you know, how much funding council will allow for this program, as well as do we want to establish some type of rating system internally that as applicants apply, their applications are graded based off the impact they will make. They get preference if they're located within the historic district or within the downtown core. Griffin has a similar type of plan in place, and they do funding rounds. So essentially, they have a spring funding round where all applications are due by X date, and then they have a time period for review, and then they have, you'll know if you receive this funding on this date, and then a fall funding round. So I think the big question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want to establish that type of system internally to help us make these decisions easier on what properties should, I don't want to say should be eligible, because all the properties within the DDA district are eligible, but what properties should take priority within the DDA district?
If you do that, I think you need to do it after this one.
This one, and
I
explain.
don't think we need to.
Change in the middle of the
Change,
game.
yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think the best way to do it was if we've got 15,000 available, let's don't change the rules now.
Okay.
But
In the next.
if we go for additional funding, say, then I think that's the thing to maybe do a point scoring system and really say you get more points if you're in the historical core area. But I think, you know, the good thing about this is, yeah, it may be further out, but I'm glad he wants to make his place look better, and
I agree.
And he's paying half of it.
I agree. So if we were to do this project, that would leave us, along with the other two projects, I'm adding this up really quick.
While you're adding, I'm gonna, has the building and zoning guy been over and checked?
He has not.
Okay. Well, I think that needs to be part of his final funding.
So we went ahead and the way the process works is the building inspection is completed after approval, but due to the work already being started, due to some time constraints on the other two properties, we went ahead and had John go and inspect those properties to let us know what issues that may arise. So if he was to be funded, if Mr. Palmer's project was to be funded before he could start on the project, he would have to be inspected by John and let us know any kind of code enforcement violations, and then he'd have to address any of those code enforcement violations before he would get started on the work.
And he understands that when he, okay.
Yes.
I have maybe a recommendation. Is his business sign at the street?
It is not.
Okay.
It is on the, it's not on the building either.
Okay. I think it needs to be recommended that he has signage, perhaps, and I'd have to, maybe we even need to do an on-site review or assessment or survey of some signage.
Yeah.
And then I'm also noticing, there's a couple of things when we talk about facade that I think it's important to look at. He's got the banisters, and perhaps there needs to be an awning or lighting. I don't know if that falls into your code.
It would.
But and then the air conditioning unit that's visible from the road, maybe that needs to be
Some type of enclosure.
fencing or something. I think this is a very good improvement, but I see some opportunities where it might get even be a little bit better.
And if he does the other, he'll probably need to increase what he asked for.
But it could be a thing where he could fully take advantage of the facade
I think
grant.
he could get more for his money because he's not asking for the full amount. So my recommendation would be maybe let's talk to him about even some additional
opportunities.
Yes.
So Ms. Coggin's recommendation is for us to table this item until we are able to meet with Mr. Palmer to do a site review to assess if there's any other opportunities for him to truly take advantage of the full facade grant. Do I have any discussion of that?
And why, because the code enforcement is part of this deal.
We
why
can
don't you
organize it
take
together.
But so he'll know what he's getting into.
Okay.
I think that's
And then too, it'll be great advertisement if you do that, then he can tell the community exactly how you got it in and doing that.
And hopefully we're able to help him even further if we can help him, with signage. I didn't know this was a business, and I don't think many people do. So if he could have some signage at the road or even signage on his building, but something to let people know, hey, Palmer's Equipment is here, this is what we do, I think that would be a big improvement to the property as well. because right now there is no signage at all on the property, from what I can see. So I like Ms. Coggins' idea.
Yeah. You gonna make that in the form of a motion?
So I think Ms. Coggins' motion is that we table this application until we are able to meet with Mr. Palmer on site to see if there's any other opportunities for him to fully take advantage of the facade grant, be it signage, awnings, and then note any code enforcement violations prior to him starting the process.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, so the next item up for discussion is discussion of our DDA parking lot. So I just want to kind of give you an update, and let's kind of just talk really quick on the DDA parking lot. So to me, this is a core issue that we need to address in 2022. During our work session last Friday, we kind of game planned a little bit about what some of the things we'd like to do to the DDA parking lot. A big component of this is the fact that the health spa building located at 210 South Center Street is currently for sale. I did meet with some developers yesterday from Macon, and they looked at that property and they seemed rather interested. I also have a conversation next Wednesday with a realtor out of Amelia Island, whose wife is from Thomaston, and he is interested in potentially looking at some property in town as well. What I would like to do is, if we can find a buyer for this property, I would like to get an easement to fix the back wall, repair the plaster, and then do a mural on the back of the health spa building. Whether we tie that back into our new branding or we come up with something different, I think cleaning that wall up would be a huge transformation in downtown Thomaston in itself. We're also, I met this week with Straight Edge Seal Coating to look at potentially paving or seal coating the parking lot and cleaning up the parking lot. So he's working on getting me some quotes. We're also Straight Edge Seal Coating. It's Mr. Guy Robinson. I met with him on Wednesday. We also have discussed identifying a mason to potentially build an enclosure for the dumpsters. Right now, when you pull into that parking lot, all you see are two big green GFL dumpsters, and I think we've had a lot of issues with illegal dumping because they're just kind of right there in the open. There's some concrete that needs to be repaired and some brick that needs to be repaired. What I would like to do is do a type of enclosure, and even if we just put a fence there or something for our downtown business owners, but that hides it from everyone's viewpoint, and also kind of keeps it from being an illegal dumping ground as it is right now.
Have you talked to the dumpster people to see what, if any, requirements they have about enclosing?
I have not, but I will. I have it right here, coordinate with GFL.
Okay.
So I will reach out to Eric Virgin. He is our main contact with GFL, and talk to him about it. Right now, I think the trash trucks go in there and they kind of pick up from the side and dump in. It might be a thing where the way that space is lined up, you could put a roll-off in there, like one long dumpster, and then they just come and pick that roll-off up once every 2 weeks or something like that, and it'd be easier to conceal.
Tyler, let me ask you, the thing I don't like about it is it's sitting right in the middle of the whole space.
I know.
I wish it could be off to the side. And this Dave owns the space behind his building.
Yes.
And the rest of it is owned by the DDA, right?
There's a portion owned by Miss Melissa Lane behind Baby Lanes,
Okay.
and then the rest is owned by the DDA. Yes.
Yeah. So it sure would be.
We
nice.
could look at potentially relocating that trash can. What I would like to do is find, which it might be reaching out to UGA and their landscape architect school, but get them to help me come up with a concept, a conceptual rendering for that property. If we're looking to relocate those trash cans and maybe doing something with the trellis wall, and something that kind of does a enclosure around the trash cans. I think having some type of visual rendering would definitely help.
I just think if for whatever reason, you ever wanted to have some kind of event there, then it's gonna revolve around dumpsters.
The center of the
You know,
trash cans in the
and
very
I
center.
just wish we could get that out of the center.
And unfortunately, you know, right there as well, we have several grease traps for the restaurants on the south side of the square. So we would have to
Yeah.
relocate those as well.
Yeah, and I guess, it's dumpsters and grease traps. I mean, it's a mess back
It is, and you know, unfortunately, the Downtown Development Authority's name is all over that property, and we definitely need to get that cleaned up because it's a lack of accountability on our part for the property. So I've got a lot of things I would like to do. I called Dave this morning to try to set up a meeting for next Thursday to discuss his towers and a potential easement. He didn't answer, so I'm gonna try calling him again this afternoon to try to schedule that.
I did talk to him yesterday, and he's open to talking about that. He had some comments about some other things, and so it'd be part of a discussion, but he's open to it. The thing about that tower is pretty substantial.
It is.
And, you know, the thought of could it go on top of
Yeah.
it or something, I doubt it can. It's probably too much weight.
I wonder if
But
could it be moved closer to the
could
building?
it put up against that building, and then you could get all that junk out. When he mentioned it to me, though, he didn't mention so much of the tire. He said the tower. I thought he referred to it as a dish. So that'll need to be figured
Well,
out.
that's what I was gonna say, do we even use those big towers anymore, or because, I mean, with the, maybe the tower can get gone.
Yeah. So
What,
And there may be a more current upgrade that's smaller
yeah.
or
Mhm.
that
I
takes
think
up
that's-
less.
I think that's what he's looking at, an
Okay.
upgrade,
Yeah.
and it would be wonderful if the tower wasn't involved.
Most definitely, it would definitely help with that back of that
Um,
space.
What about the building that used to be Hester's Pharmacy? You're gonna know what I'm talking about. You know, you're not gonna know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
That was before you were born.
Which one is it now?
It faces
It's where
the
the tattoo-
Baptist church.
the tattoo-
Okay, Mr. Terry Davidson owns that property. I've discussed with him about the facade grant because he was wanting to replace all that wooden that's kind of covering up the windows right there. I've also discussed with him about trying to lease out the space, and unfortunately, he is not leasing it.
Not
Is there
Yeah.
something in it?
No. So he has the building because for his electrical, he's a licensed state electrician, and for his licensed electrician license, he has to have an actual dedicated space. It's required by the state. So he has his, he does some training in the building for electrical, and that's what he's utilizing the space for currently.
Well, does it need to be inspected by John Baxter?
I think probably all the buildings in downtown need to be inspected by both our building inspector and our fire chief to assess if there's any code enforcement violations from a public safety standpoint. You know, if we're going to send our fire.
The fire department comes to my office every year, walks around, tells me what I have to have, and exit signs and fire extinguishers and.
So I think we need to probably pull a list and see when the last time all buildings in downtown Thomaston have had that done, you know, especially some of our vacant ones, and make sure they're all up to code.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna spend DDA tax money improving everything around there,
Yeah.
we definitely need to address that building because
I agree.
it's not gonna fit in our plan with the.
Because I know when my husband had the barber shop over here on Tower Tower,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it leaked everything. And,
Really?
you know, and if something had to be done, he had to pay for it, and it's like, but it's not your building.
Yeah. So we've got to do a better job. I think that's something I've spoken with both John and the city manager about. That we've got to do a better job as far as keeping our property owners accountable for the state of their buildings. I think we've had a lot of just property maintenance negligence over the past couple decades. Just again, I go back to the fact when the mill's closed, people were just trying to get through the next issue. And I think the thing is now we have so much opportunity and so much potential and so much optimism. We have to do a better job of being accountable. last thing I want to touch up on, obviously whenever we do this, we'd like to improve the landscaping, you know, plant some new flowers, clean it up right there, potentially do a new sign, mark it with our new branding, marking the DDA parking lot entrance, and then murals. So I'm going to hit on this in other business, but I've got some mural restoration plans. That'll be a cool one. So any further discussion on the DDA parking lot?
Are we, I mean, what's the game plan?
So
with
I'm
that?
gonna schedule a meeting with Dave next week to let's figure out these the tower stuff and potentially discuss an easement for his property. I'm gonna reach out to GFL to talk about the trash cans and see if they're required to be where they're at, or if we could potentially relocate them. And then I'm also gonna reach out to see if I can find a contact for UGA's landscape architect school and see if they have some students that would be interested in doing some design renderings for this property.
Okay, and do we have, will this year be a funding, is there funding already for the parking lot for 2022, or
We're gonna do the parking lot.
Okay.
Parking lots, I mean, we're gonna touch as much as we can in this parking lot. You know, definitely get the parking lot repaved, definitely address the trellis, hopefully either relocate the trash cans or build some type of enclosure for the trash cans. You know, we may not be able to do the big mural on the health spa building. That may be something we have to fundraise for and do next year. But as far as the things that we can touch this year, I think landscaping, I think signage, I think the base stuff, we can hit that.
Taylor, if you haven't looked at it, you ought to go look at the corner of the Colony Bank parking lot where that dumpster is. Most people don't realize there's a dumpster because
Inside.
you've got walls high enough to cover it up, and it's a pretty neutral type color, and
Exactly the type of concept we're looking
nice,
for.
That's done nice.
That's exactly the type of concept we're looking for in that parking lot.
But what's one of the key things? It's also not sitting in the middle of our parking lot. It's sitting over in
The corner.
If we can relocate, and that'd be good for the University of Georgia.
Yeah, get some of their students involved. You know, I think they have a lot of students that just want some of that firsthand experience. So if we could get some cool renderings, and even if it's the thing where we pull from this rendering or pull from this rendering, it could be an opportunity for us to really make a big change in this parking lot. Okay, the next item for discussion is our modifications to the DDA bylaws. I presented these, Catherine and I worked on these, and we presented them at the last meeting in November. I've given you all the past 2 months to review these and provide any kind of recommendations, changes for these bylaws. The big changes for these bylaws are going to be our establishment of regular meeting dates and times. And I sent you out an email this morning with those meeting dates for the rest of the year. It is on the very last page of your packet. What I would like to do, my motion is to approve these changes to the DDA bylaws, and then this will go before City Council on Tuesday for adoption and approval as well. So I get a motion to approve the proposed DDA bylaws so that we can send them to City Council for potential adoption and approval.
Make the motion.
All right, Ms. Angie, Lane,
Mm-hmm.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Cool.
And so Taylor, you're going to be there.
Yes.
And then you might just highlight.
The key.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll hit on the key changes in the bylaws. Okay, and the last things on our agenda for other business, kind of want to give you an update on what I've been working on lately. Obviously, we've been wrapping up things with HGTV. They will be finishing up on January 22nd. They have told me that editing will take a couple months and that we should be looking to see the show end of April, first part of May. Our DCA annual assessment for the Main Street program is due tomorrow. This was not really completed last year, so we lost one of our. Basically, we were bumped down from an affiliate of the Main Street program to a startup because it was not completed last year. So I've been working night in and day and night to try to get this accounted for and make sure that we have everything that we need to to be in compliance with our Main Street guidelines. And I think we are there. We've got to knock out these Main Street certificates here shortly, and then other than that, I've got everything else. So we should be good to go with that. Finally, I have been working on planning our first event for this year. What I would like to do is, once we lock in these dates, I would like to also lock in, we can do that during our February meeting, but lock in the dates for the other events throughout the year. My goal moving forward is to have a calendar of events at the beginning of the year, so that way people know, okay, Thomaston's going to have their Freedom Festival on July 2nd. Thomaston's going to have their Christmas market, their Christmas parade on this date. I want to be a point where we have many months to promote our events, and it's a known date, so no one else can say, well, we have our event on this date and we have our event on this date. So the big piece of that, the first event is a spring art festival. So tentatively, this is a 3-day event. It would begin on Friday, April 22nd and end on Sunday, April 24th. Friday night would be a downtown art walk, a sip and stroll type event. We would be partnering with regional wineries, regional breweries. I had a conversation yesterday with Farmhouse Tower Brewery over in Gay. They're going to come meet with me next Friday to talk about some opportunities in Thomaston, as well as talk about this sip and stroll, and they seem very excited about that. We would also identify downtown businesses to host artists where they could display their artist work, or potentially do some live demonstrations. So it could be someone doing some woodworking, it could be someone doing some pottery, someone painting, but have some live demonstrations around the square as people are walking. Saturday we would have a arts and craft festival within the Pine Thicket of Grace Generation, and then we would have a chalk festival around the ponds. So Fonderosa has about 20 or 30 chalk artists that she knows that she'd be reaching out to have chalk artists painting around the ponds, and then within the Pine Thicket we would offer a space for craft vendors, potentially do some food trucks at the in the parking lot. Thought about doing a t-shirt design contest with the schools, maybe let some of the school kids design our shirts for the event. Also doing some plein air type art events within the Pine Thicket. So you might have a couple people over here selling some of their paintings, maybe some homemade soap, candles, stuff like that. And then the next thing you have is Miss Mary Ann Hughes, who has a pottery studio. She's out there with her students making some pottery and allowing people to actually come up and try the pottery wheel. So actually hands-on demonstration type stuff. I think we have a lot of talented people in our community that are kind of hiding in the woodwork. And so my hope with this festival is to try to pull some of these very talented craftsmen and artisans in our community out to showcase their talents. I think we have a big opportunity in Thomaston to let our city serve as a palette, in a sense, for our citizens. You know, let them come and showcase their art and their talent. Lonnie, our city finance director, has some contacts with a plein air group out of Noonan. Our metal artist Derek has some contacts in Atlanta with some artists, so I think we could actually attract artists from throughout the region to come and set up in Thomaston for this art festival. So I think this could be a really big event, and then potentially doing a Hometown Rising concert at 7 p.m. that night, where we could have some bands, some local bands come and play and just have a nice community type festival to end it. Sunday, I would like to do a mural reveal in downtown Thomaston. So I've been in contact with Professor Norman at UGA, and he has a group of students. They have a program called Color the World Bright. And so I was creeping on Facebook one day, and I saw where they had restored several historic murals in downtown Hawkinsville. So when I say historic murals, think about your old Coke murals, your old R.C. Cola murals, your old Red Man Chew murals, you know, your 40s, 50s, 60s, those classic murals you used to see in downtowns. So I've been working with Jameson to locate pictures of some of the classic murals we used to have in downtown Thomaston. So we had some on Cooks, there were several on Slices, there was one on Day Realty. So Professor Norman actually came down last Saturday to kind of look at these buildings and see if it'd be a viable project for him and his students. And they are very excited about the project and the opportunity. The good thing is, with this being a student type project, again, I go back to their students want to have hands-on experience, so they do the projects for a discount, a significant discount. So it could be a thing where we have 6, 7, even 8 new murals in downtown Thomaston for the price we usually see for 1 or 2.
And Tyler, one of the things that has definite local connection is all the peach growers that were here at one time and had beautiful, signs and
The peach labels,
the
yeah.
peach labels, and that's something that definitely has a local roots to it, and was a huge part of Upson County, just as textiles were. And
I agree.
And it would make beautiful.
I think that Thomaston Peaches label, that's what we kind of pulled. If you look at our branding, the Thomaston, Georgia is actually the same ribbon that's used in the Thomaston Peaches label, peach label. And Jameson and I both kind of talked about we really need to find a wall to recreate that Thomaston Peaches peach label on.
That wall back of the health spa is a massive wall that's just.
It is. That could be a great one. You have the wall kind of facing 19 at the health spa as well, which I think that'd be a perfect spot for like a welcome to downtown Thomaston mural. Same thing for either Gene Salter's building, the old Salter Sewing, or Boswick's. Boswick had, we look in the master plan. We provided a rendering of a welcome to downtown Thomaston mural on that wall. So I think that would again be a great addition to downtown Thomaston.
Does the city of Thomaston own that parking lot, or does the building owner? You lease it?
We lease the parking lot. The property is owned by a guy. So the parking lot is actually owned by someone separate from Boswick's.
Oh, okay.
It's owned by a gentleman out of Manchester.
Oh, does Mike Key still own it?
That sounds very familiar. Yeah, I think he
He
does.
still owns it, okay.
Yeah. And then finally, the last thing for this kind of art festival would be an addition to the fire hydrants. It was very well received back in October. We had a ton of community engagement from this project, and we had a lot of people after the fact saying, "Hey, how can I paint my fire hydrant?" So I'm working to identify new hydrant additions and confirming with TFD to make sure that we could do those. And then we would like to have those done prior to our art festival and have a booth set up at the actual art festival in the park and allow people to vote on their favorite fire hydrant addition and potentially do some type of prize for the favorite fire hydrant. So yeah, we have a couple of really good ideas. I spoke this morning with Miss Tina Lilly. She is the director of the Georgia Council for the Arts. She's provided me with contacts from for an art festival. I've got Blue Ridge. They have a great arts festival in Blue Ridge for an art walk in downtown Albany Museum. And then she also provided me a contact for a downtown art walk. My big thing I learned from the Georgia Downtown Conference is R&D, which is rip off and duplicate. So if some of these cities have good programs that they're doing, how can we kind of take that? They might not be as grandesque as their system, but if we can kind of take it and kind of make it our own, and we can learn from some of the mistakes they made starting out, let's try and do that. So yeah, I just want to kind of give you a update on what I'm working on. I'm hoping to finalize some of this information over the next week or two.
Yeah, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel.
Not at all. Not at all.
You're going to take the conflicts of interest policy to the. Sorry, I'm backing up. But,
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yes, everything in there will be
Okay.
included.
I was doing it for my notes.
No worries. No worries at all. Have any questions, concern, feedback about our plans for our Spring Art Festival?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
what's the
sounds
date on
great.
that?
Tentatively, it's April 22nd through April 24th, so it'd be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Did you reach out to 13th Colony?
I did.
Okay.
Down in Americas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, and I talked to Greg Holloway about that piano,
Yeah.
and he said, get in touch with him.
Okay, because I reached out to TUAC to see if they could potentially paint it,
Mhm.
and Miss Rebecca Boris said she can, so I was going to call Mr.
Okay.
Gregg this afternoon to see if he was.
Well, still got the wheels to it, and they're in my car. I'll give them to you before I leave.
Okay, that's fine. So I had an idea to paint kind of like one of those old wooden pianos and then see if we could put it under one of the buildings in downtown Thomaston. You know, I think I was in Macon one time, and I saw a painted pianos kind of sitting in one of their downtown parks, and I had one of the guys I was rooming with at the time went over there and just started playing it. So my thought process was, as we have more people coming into downtown Thomaston, I think it'd be really cool to kind of have someone just playing the piano on the side of the street right there.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, who's the lead singer for Coldplay?
It's got a child named Apple.
Yeah.
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's
Gwyneth
ex-husband.
Paltrow, yes. So have you ever seen his piano?
I've not.
You gotta look at his piano.
Yeah?
It's really cool, really, it's all painted up. And so
What
it's
do you
worth,
think of his name?
it's
I'll
worth.
have to check that out.
Yeah.
Chris.
Sounds right.
Coldplay piano. All right, I'll definitely look at that. Okay, so I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 12:47. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting at 12:47?
Make a motion.
Give me a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Okay.